Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the new Disney Plus series about one of our favorite Jedi Masters. With Ewan McGregor returning in this series, it happens to not only remind us of what a great character Obi-Wan Kenobi is, but it also happens to show us why Princess Leia sees him as her only hope. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story for these first two episodes is that directly after the events of Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan Kenobi has been working at a dead-end job in Tatooine as he looks after Owen Lars, Beru, and of course Luke Skywalker. Owen really just wants to look after Luke on his own terms, and he doesn't want him to realize the bigger galaxy that's around him because he just wants to keep him safe. Basically, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are essentially family to him now, and Obi-Wan still wants to keep him safe and still wants to eventually train him someday. But he also believes that the Jedi are basically dead at this point and that there's nothing he can do to ultimately defeat the Empire. But when Senator Bail Organa ends up losing his daughter Leia to some kidnappers who are trying to sell her over to the Inquisitors for the sake of getting credits, Obi-Wan has to save her, and he has to take on an Inquisitor who seems ridiculously obsessed with him. Now, the first two episodes generally happen to follow a structure that you're probably so familiar with. An old, wizened hero has ultimately grown cynical of his previous life, but he ends up being brought out of retirement for the sake of a friend in order to protect an innocent child, while also dealing with villains who happen to have some kind of connection to him, even if they weren't in the past movies. It's something that you've seen before in tons of action films and TV shows of its type, but I really like the fact that it's done well here because we get to see Obi-Wan's various regrets, and we happen to see him struggle in a way that feels natural while still reminding us of the tough Jedi Master that he always was. Ewan McGregor really does slink back into the character immediately when you get into the series. And honestly, his segments in the first episode and even his back and forth with Leia in the second, they're some of the best things about the series early on. Not only that, but there was actually a couple of new fun side characters that I enjoyed seeing in these first two episodes. Like there's this Jedi named Haja who basically acts as a con artist to various people in order to get credits. And yeah, of course Jedi would resort to some morally heinous stuff in order to get by in this world. And Kumail Nanjiani does bring a pretty entertaining performance as Haja. He was Kingo in The Eternals, by the way. So he seems to get the best out of most of the roles that he's given. But, of course, a major antagonist that's built up for these first two episodes is the third sister. I have heard of the Inquisitors when it comes to other Star Wars media, mainly some of the TV shows and even a few Star Wars video games here and there, but I don't think I've ever met the third sister before. She's basically obsessed with capturing Kenobi for a reason that I'm sure will be revealed later on, to the point where even the other Inquisitors find her to be very difficult to work with. And considering how most of the Inquisitors usually work decently well with each other, this is definitely going to be a big problem. Especially considering I really liked the Grand Inquisitor earlier on, but without spoiling anything, I do think he isn't used particularly well in the second episode. And it's a shame considering I really like the actor they chose for him, and he's got a lot of charisma in the role. Hopefully the other Inquisitors stay around long enough to at least get into a few fun action scenes with Obi-Wan, is all I'm saying. But for the most part, I think this is actually a pretty strong start for the series, and if you really like Ewan McGregor and the earlier Star Wars films that featured him in the prequels, I do think you'll really get a kick out of this one. So I'll be following this for its entire run. Hopefully it ends as well as it starts, because so far, I'm rather impressed. Deborah Chow might have a good career on her hands as a director. See you next time.